1, 2, 3, 4.
You're about to see an example of the open minds concept, a very exciting, innovative way of getting children learning in the community. It began in Calgary 15 years ago and has grown to the point where we have 6,000 kids spending a week in a very interesting place like the zoo, Glenbow Museum, or Canada Olympic Park, City Hall, with their teachers. And it's much more than just a week at the site. The teacher's in the driver's seat and does an extended study at school where the week at the site is the focus. It's a very powerful way of learning. Writing skills, for example. When Kathy Cochran did a research project in 2001, she showed that there was a 4-fold improvement in writing skills with the children who had been through the program. This concept has moved to other communities. There's Aqua School in Vancouver. There are 9 sites in Edmonton. There are some in London, Ontario. Michigan has some. And here on the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia, we have a site operating at the Iris Griffiths Centre, the conservation area. And this is a new program that we're trying out at the museum, the Sunshine Coast Museum and Archives in Gibsons. So this shows very nicely how this idea doesn't have to be in a big city, doesn't have to be in a large museum or a zoo. It can work in a small museum. So sit back and enjoy. You're about to see some fabulous stuff.
You're going to take your shoes off.
So a month before the museum school, students worked on a number of assignments to gain knowledge about the local history. They had to pretend that they were Captain Vancouver, and they wrote about how he missed his family, how he wished they were here. If they were here, what would they be doing?
This concept is very different from a regular field trip where children are sort of parachuted into an unusual situation. What we hope that they will come with is some skills and some knowledge before the week itself takes place. So in order to do that, we help the teacher to teach the children how to observe, how to look deeply at things. And part of that is learning how to describe objects very carefully. And this process is called object-based learning, and it's to slow children down so that the first step is observation. So they're not making any judgments. They're just simply describing the physical attributes and then expanding from that. And finally, they get into the stage of what might this be? What is it used for? Are these objects different today?
It has 2 fire red wires circling the glass main figure of the object. Just above the glass, there is a medium-sized circle with little holes in the middle of it. Above that, it looks like a robot's head. Below that, connecting to the top hat, there are 2 metal pieces that go down to the bottom. I think it's a lantern.
Great job.
The writing is very, very important, but also drawing. And it's not that we're trying to turn every child into an artist, but the actual act of drawing forces somebody to slow down and really look with their eyes and with their brain to see what's in front of them. If the teacher can help children to gain these skills before they come to the museum and actually use their hardcover journals, then when they arrive at the museum, they've got their journal, they know what to do with it, and before you know it, they're out there finding an object and they know exactly what to do. reason that it's important that children are immersed in this exciting environment is that the first day, the first time that they go, they're in what John Falk calls a novelty effect. And it happens to all of us, whatever age we are, when we're in a new situation. So you'll notice children, when they go to a museum or a science center or a zoo, they're surfing. Sometimes we call it the pinball effect. So they're exploring everything and they're very excited. So the actual learning that happens is very little.
Hello.
So they have to get that out of their system, and they need to explore the site. But once that's done, then they can calm down, and then they start to notice more and more about what is actually in this museum. And even a small museum holds an awful lot of material. So we find that as the week progresses, there's a pattern to the behavior. So Monday is that surfing excited stage. Tuesday, they're calmer, they get off the bus, they kind of know what's going on. Wednesday, they're starting to have a real connection. Thursday, boy, that sense of ownership just clicks right in. This is their place. This is like coming home. Friday's the last day, and they're sad to be leaving, and they know it's their final day. And it just seems to be that you need the full 5 days. Even 4 doesn't work as well. The actual schedule, or what we do each day, sort of follows a certain pattern. They do need time every single day, at least an hour, when they are able to choose, and choice is very important, when they're able to choose where they want to go in the museum, to find an object that appeals to them, and then have time to really absorb, to write, to draw, to connect to that object. And this works the same whether it's in a nature center, to have the quiet time when they're off by themselves and to listen, to use their senses to take in what's around them, or if they're at a zoo, they have time to really sit and watch that Siberian tiger and get to know its habits. So that's part of every day. But then there's also a very important part, and that is learning about the content, about what's going on in that museum. And that's where the experts are brought in.
You guys know what this is? Yes? Kids your age were able to build a boat with somebody showing them how to do it in only 5 days. You can see the shapes. You can see where the pencil marks are on this boat. Using those marks, he would then have built full-size copies of those shapes. So as you let it out every day, you'd have to do that, and then you pull it in again the other way until it's all on there. You pull the fish over the side, whack it on the head, cover it with the cloth, put a new piece of fresh herring on, because, I mean, do you like eating somebody else's food?
No.
No. And you can't get a second fish on the same herring.
My home moment was when that